In yet another display of precision and persistence, the Ukrainian Air Force has struck Russian troop positions in the south using French-supplied Aasm 250 hammer-guided bombs. These high-precision munitions have become a regular feature of Ukraine's evolving strike tactics, allowing for surgical attacks deep behind enemy lines while minimizing collateral damage. This latest strike highlights Kyiv's growing reliance on Western-supplied smart munitions to offset Russian numerical advantages and grind down enemy logistics and morale. As the war drags on, Ukraine continues to demonstrate how modern, targeted firepower can reshape the battlefield. The Worm Busters unit of the 414th Unmanned Strike Aviation Brigade Birds of Magyar, with an overview of destroyed Russian armored carriers and Blyat Barn modified tanks. The Birds of Magyar have become one of the most feared and respected drone units in Ukraine's arsenal. Named after their charismatic commander, Robert Magyar Brovdy, this volunteer drone unit specializes in tactical reconnaissance and precise FPV kamikaze strikes. Operating close to the front lines, they've turned cheap, commercially available drones into devastating weapons of war, striking tanks, bunkers, supply vehicles, and even infantry hiding in trenches. What terrifies Russian troops isn't just the damage these drones cause. It's the psychological impact. The buzzing of an FPV drone overhead means there's no safe place to hide. It's fast, nearly invisible, and always watching. Unlike artillery, there's no warning. 1 second of hesitation, and it's already too late. The Birds of Magyar record nearly all their missions, turning each strike into a digital battlefield broadcast, a message to Russian forces. We see you, and we're coming for you. It's this combination of precision, unpredictability, and relentless presence that's made them a nightmare for the invading army. The Russians are using motorcycles not only during attempts to storm Ukrainian positions, but have also started equipping them with trailers and carts for transporting ammunition and carrying out evacuations. Rob Lee, a senior fellow at the Foreign Policy Research Institute, pointed this out on X. In his post, he compiled photos and videos showing how Russian invaders on the front line are using improvised small trailers. The Russians themselves, in one of the groups that supports the war against Ukraine, stated that motorcycles and ATVs were under the modernization based on the realities of combat. It should be noted that this is more about equipping the vehicles with new functions and capabilities. Some small trailers are adapted for evacuating soldiers from the battlefield, while others are better suited for transporting cargo, such as ammunition, food, and performing other tasks. According to the published photos and videos, these simply constructed trailers and carts have no unified standard and are made near the front line from whatever materials are available. It is claimed that such improvised transport vehicles made it easier for motorcycles and ATVs to carry out tasks. Russia's massive losses in armored vehicles during the war have forced Russian assault troops to launch attacks not in armored vehicles with heavy tank support, but on motorcycles with no protection whatsoever. Already a year ago, it was reported that Russian infantry had been training to conduct assaults on Ukrainian positions using motorcycles. The use of this equipment has now become a common practice among the occupiers on the front lines. The outcome of such assaults often depends on how quickly they are detected, how swiftly defenders can respond, and whether they have effective means of neutralizing the threat. On May 8th, 14 Russian bikers attempted to attack the positions of Ukrainian paratroopers in the Pokrovsk sector. The invaders intended to break through along a road where their armored vehicles had previously attempted to attack without success. Along this route, some of the motorcyclists were destroyed by Ukrainian FPV drones. The Netherlands and its NATO allies are preparing for a potential armed conflict with Russia, believing Moscow could reconstitute its military within a year after its war against Ukraine ends, Dutch military intelligence chief Peter Riesink said on May 8th. Vice Admiral Riesink voiced this assessment in an interview with Politico. Riesink said Russia is gradually strengthening ties with China across geopolitical, economic, and military dimensions. a development that poses new security threats to Europe. He noted that Russia is producing far more artillery, with help from other countries, than it needs to sustain the war against Ukraine. He added that Russia is not only replenishing its stockpile, but is also shifting new artillery units to NATO borders, particularly near the Baltic states and Finland. For us, it shows they are building up capability, Riesink said. He warned that if current production rates continue and Russia's leadership stays committed to aggressive action, Moscow could be ready for another armed conflict as soon as a year after the war in Ukraine concludes. The Netherlands, like other NATO countries, is on heightened readiness to ensure we are prepared if that day comes, he said. Moscow's self-declared truce, which came into force at midnight on May 8th, is not being felt on the front lines, Ukrainian soldiers have told the Kyiv Independent, reporting numerous cases of Russian military activity throughout the day. There is no truce. There is shelling, artillery, drone and FPV bomb drops, Petro Kuzik, a battalion commander at the National Guard, said. The Kremlin announced the measure on April 28th, claiming all military actions would halt on May 8th to midnight on May 11th to mark Russia's Victory Day on May 9th. Ukraine was not consulted on the proposal, and Russia provided no details of how the ceasefire would be implemented or monitored. President Volodymyr Zelensky described the Russian truce as a theatrical performance, and experts who spoke to the Kyiv Independent said Moscow's unilateral declaration is simply not how ceasefires are conducted. Ceasefires have to be negotiated so both sides agree on terms, otherwise neither is bound by them. Retired Australian Army Major General Mick Ryan told the Kyiv Independent, adding the Kremlin's truce lacked clear terms, as well as any monitoring arrangements. It also followed Russia's now nearly 2 months-long refusal to accept a U.S.-proposed full 30-day ceasefire to which Ukraine agreed back on March 11th. This is not a ceasefire, a Special Forces sniper with the call sign BART, fighting in Zaporizhia Oblast, told the Kyiv Independent, adding, "Just now there was an airstrike on us."
Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. Also, if you want to support Warthog Defense, please become our member and get early access to new videos, exclusive members-only videos, and become administrator in comment section. The membership link is in the description.
Rescues every day. We had a guy last week at 6 rescues in 6 days. He's doing the job every day.